I worked my whole life to empower women. I've worked my whole life to prevent abuse.
You saw him up close as a politician.
Correct.
What kind of political operator is he?
The kind where he smiles, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right?
Here I am in the Senate office.
Long before Joe Biden was a household name across America.
And here's my desk.
Tara Reade worked in his Senate office in the early 90s.
Here's a good picture of Senator Biden.
It was her dream job. She hoped it was the start of a long career in politics.
He was a political hero of mine because I bought into the image. And I really believed he was someone to not only admire, but also I wanted to be like him. Like I had hoped to be maybe a senator or a congressperson someday.
And here's the view from my window.
You sound really happy.
Yeah.
There's my computer. And there's my posters.
I was such like a little puppy, like so eager and happy. Yeah.
Tara says it wasn't long, though, before her political hero turned into a predator.
He would just put his hands on me. He would, whenever there was a meeting or if I would see him, usually he'd put his hand on his shoulder and then he'd run his fingers up underneath my hair, on my neck, and things like that. And I had never experienced that with a boss before, and I didn't know him. It's not like there was like small talk, like where we would, you know what I'm saying? There was no reciprocal relationship or flirtation. There was nothing like that. So it was just very much him coming into a room, putting his hand on me or whatever.
Did you ever tell him, don't do that to me?
No. I was too scared to say that. I didn't say anything.
Did he touch other women?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just didn't, he seemed to lack boundaries with women.
Some might try to pass the behaviour off as a sign of the times.
Reid was among several women who said Biden had touched them inappropriately.
He's now threatened to undermine his bid for the White House.
No, that ain't right, man. That ain't right.
But it's a pattern of behaviour that remains today.
Those Joe Biden shoulder massages, they're like magic. You should try one. Oh, you have?
Joe Biden recently vowed to be more mindful of personal space after 7 women came forward with claims of inappropriate touching.
I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. But I'll always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting with people. That won't change.
But what Tara Reade claims happened 27 years ago in an open corridor of the Senate is much worse.
So we were alone in this corridor and he said my name, and then the next thing I knew, he pushed me and up against the wall. He kind of moved his body towards me, and then he used his knee to separate my legs. He said, He said, I want to fuck you. And he was whispering in my ear and he was kissing me and I was trying to get away from him. And then when I pulled away,
You right?
He had taken his hands and put them down my skirt and taken one hand and penetrated me with his fingers. And when I pulled away, he pulled back and he looked at me like kind of almost annoyed. And he said, "Come on, man, I heard you liked me." And that's when I could see that he was angry, and he put his finger kind of towards my face and he said, "You know, you're nothing to me. You're nothing."
In Tara's account, it was a senator's word against a first-year assistant. So she kept quiet, only breaking down to her mother on the phone.
She was telling me to go to the police right then, like to go to the police and to keep what I was wearing and on and to go to the police.
Why did you resist going to the police?
You know, they're there to protect the senators and congressmen. They're not there to protect us.
It would be 2 long years in 1995 before Tara told anybody else about the alleged assault, confiding in her neighbour, Linda Lacasse.
She basically said that he had put her up against the wall. He put his hands up her skirt and he put his fingers inside her.
What did you say?
I said, I think you should file a police report. She was upset. She was crying.
Did you doubt what she was saying at all?
No, I didn't.
What prompted you to come forward and publicly corroborate her story?
I felt that I needed to tell the truth.
Did Tara ask you to come forward?
I volunteered.
You filed a written complaint to the Senate, but in it you only mention Biden's inappropriate behaviour. You don't mention the sexual assault. And I'm wondering why you wouldn't mention that, because there is a very big difference between inappropriate behaviour and sexual assault.
Because I was afraid to. I mean, I consciously did that. The way they had it set up at that time, it was you fill out this form and hand it back. I didn't know who was reading it, and I was too scared. So I thought at a one-on-one that I would reveal that and talk about it, but I didn't feel comfortable.
After nothing came of the harassment complaint she says she filed to the Senate in the 90s,
Tara Reade emotionally describing what she says happened in the spring of 1993.
It wasn't until 2019 that Tara then shared her story publicly, saying that Joe Biden touched her in ways that made her uncomfortable. But, just like her formal complaint at the time, it was only half a story. She says she wasn't ready to talk about the alleged sexual assault. So what changed for you? What made you think, nah, I'm going to tell the full truth?
I decided that people needed to know he's going to the highest office of the land. He's running on a platform of character. Well, I know what he's like. I know what his character's like. And he doesn't deserve the presidency based on what happened to me.
In March this year, Reid came forward with what she said was the full story. By then, many in politics and the media were already questioning her version of events.
Did you sexually assault Tara Reade?
No, it is not true.
And Joe Biden spoke out strongly, denying the allegations.
In every case, the truth is what matters. And in this case, the truth is these claims are flat out false.
Joe Biden has repeatedly said this never happened.
I think deep down he knows. Like, I don't know what his capacity is right now. It's not very clear, but I know he knows. He knows.
What do you say to people who say they don't believe you?
That's okay. You don't have to believe me. I'm the one who has to live with it.
It seems there was very little for you to gain in coming forward.
There's nothing to gain. And in my case, I lost everything. I lost work, legitimacy. I lost my reputation. I lost friendships. I lost my housing, everything, money, everything.
There's also so many people that when they needed consolation, when they needed encouragement, when they needed a hug, have been happy to get that from Joe Biden.
It's an allegation that has received little coverage this election. And unlike Trump's accusers, Tara has received a barrage of scrutiny. Do you feel as though if Joe Biden wasn't Joe Biden, your allegations would be taken more seriously?
Absolutely. If he was a Republican. I think the fact that he's an elite Democrat put him in this untouchable position. And the media was biased and people were biased